Paris, chérie, le beau Paris, c'est toujours toi que j'aime.
Hello everyone and welcome to Paris Set Me Free mini video tutorials. I'm in a very good mood today. Maybe it's because spring has sprung here in Paris, or maybe it's because YouTube have decided to give me more than 10 minutes. So I won't be quite so panicked as I have been sometimes in the past, trying to talk about all these lovely photos. Or maybe it's because Shelly from Washington DC decided to send me 5 of her shots from one of our photo tours that we did in Paris. That's probably what it is, isn't it? Right, let's have a look. Where are we today? Well, we did the Montmartre tour. Here it is. That's right, I'm not going to get you to watch a video of a red leaf for 10 minutes. We were in this area up here in the north, and I'll just zoom in so you can get a bit of context. This is where Montmartre is, the famous area, famous for its history, for its artists, for its big church on the top, Basilica, Sacré-Cœur, and lots of winding streets and graffiti and all sorts of things. So we were around this area, and Shelley prepared very well for her trip. Here's one of her first pictures, because she decided that not only would she make the day a very chilly one, but that she would have jet lag as well. So how did we remedy that? We went to a cafe, of course, and had a nice cafe, and did I have a croissant? I can't remember, but if I didn't, I should have done. So let's get on with talking about Shelley's photos without any further ado. She sent me 5, and I'm going to look at them. I'm going to talk about them, at you. And we're not talking serious po-faced expert stuff here, folks. We're just talking me spontaneously chatting about what I see in the photographs, and I hope that's okay with you. Alright, so here's the first one, and actually maybe I shouldn't have made this the first one because it's rather special. I'm in it! Yes! I didn't realise, I'd forgotten all about this, but sometimes I decide, if I want to demonstrate something and it needs a person and I ain't got one, I become that person, or I ask the other person to become the person and I shoot them. Not literally. And there I am. That's me running across this beautiful old Art Nouveau metro entrance, which is at Abbesse. And why on earth did I do that? I'm asking myself. It was probably because I was thinking, it's a good idea to, if you've got something which has a purpose, to show it being used for that purpose. As it was, there was nobody, and so I said, okay, I'll be a commuter rushing for my train. Before I did this, I went over to the left in the picture there and was about to rush in when what should happen was that a couple started to embrace in a beautiful sort of, was it Douaneau or Henri Cartier-Bresson moment, like the kiss, and I ruined it by running across. And also must admit, I'm kind of wondering why it wasn't me in the embrace, but anyway, that's life. So there we are, a kind of 2 for the price of 1 photograph there. Now what's she done? Shelley has played around a little bit and made it black and white except the Metropolitan sign. Fantastic. I think it really works well here. For a start, you have got quite a bit of detail, like this stuff in the background, which, fair enough, it's sort of atmosphere, but possibly that isn't the topic of the picture, and you haven't thrown the background out of focus for whatever reason, and so that could get a bit sort of difficult to see what the actual subject is. So you've chosen a technique. As I have for my mouse here, you'll notice that's also, I've chosen yellow against a black and white background. You've decided to play around a little bit, which is nice. I'd go one step further actually. I'd do this one as well. You see you've got the Metropolitan sign in yellow, and here behind you've got the Abbesse sign with the background, I guess, also in yellow. And why not do that as well, and then you'd have this nice diagonal, which it would be another reason for following these lines down. You see you've got a beautiful sort of splaying out there from this angle off. You're actually taking the photo off at an angle, which is already good, and which automatically gives you angles in your shot, and then make that yellow as well, and it would sort of double double the fun, as it were. You can see that this isn't all of the shot. There it is. It goes up there with a whole bunch of trees, and it goes down there with a whole bunch of concrete, which is rather, well, I think you can guess what I'm going to say. I'd go for square composition. If you want to emphasize it, not just have it almost square, set it up on your computer that it's literally square, I think that would make a very good shot. You get rid of, I would get maybe rid even a little bit more of the concrete than of the trees, because trees are a bit more natural than concrete. Also, people's feet like to be near the bottom of the shot, I think, to ground them. And yeah, I'd make it a square shot, put that into yellow. Possibly, thinking a bit further, crop this left-hand side a bit and the top of the trees again, so that still keep probably about the same distance from the edge to that bit there as from the edge to that bit there, but get rid of half of that distance from there and from there. That would keep it square. You don't really lose much else. Would you chop these guys in the bench in half? You decide if that matters. Okay, good one. What's next? Next is round the corner in a passage. I was going to say passage in English, then I thought I'd put it in a French accent and it just didn't work. So, passage des abbesses. Abbesse, by the way, is the female of abbot. They used to have a female version of an abbotry. Sounds a bit weird. Anyway, there used to be abbotesses here, and I'm sure there's a better name for that. And this little passage here is always full of graffiti. You have no idea what the latest graffiti is going to be. And if you do watch my Paris and I iPhone photo blog, Chronicles of Paris, you will see from time to time I've discovered a new piece of graffiti here. And that was the case just the other day when I discovered a new head by Gregos. Alright, so here we are. Also, you've got these signs. You've got two of the signs, both with the arrow feature. One is pretty clean, the other is a complete mess. Up here, top right, you've got a funny little face. That's a new graffiti artist who's decided to put stuff up on kind of bubble heads there. And you've got the touch of Paris, mind you. Don't forget that, otherwise it could be anywhere, couldn't it? I mean, apart from the French language here, why is it Paris? Well, there it is. That's why it's Paris. You know exactly where it is. You've got the typical French street sign, and you've got the arrondissement, which is also another nice feature. You've also got some nice peeling paint. You've chosen a dead center composition with this line down the side, which, yeah, probably if you'd wanted to get rid of that, I think gives it character, because if you got rid of it, that you'd have been too close to that arrow side. And yeah, no, I like it. And also he's looking off to that side, which is kind of looking off into the distance of whatever happens after the edge of this wall. So all in all, I think it's quite nice. Just want to see if I can reduce it down a little bit. So, no, can I? Just wanted to... anyway, that's what it looks like smaller. Yeah, so it's a good one, and it's one of my favourite aspects of Paris, looking around for all this crazy graffiti, crumbling paint and stuff. Beautiful Paris, yeah, but plenty that is showing signs of age as well. This one isn't. Oh boy, this one isn't at all, is it? Now this is a shot I stole from Shelly. Thanks, Shelly. I saw her taking this dead symmetrical composition and thought, I'll have that. I often do that, and there it is. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's as symmetrical as it should be without it just being as though you've used a mirror effect. I mean, obviously that's not symmetrical. I mean, it doesn't say la me and me al, and yet there is this lovely, not quite symmetrical symmetricality to it. You know, you can see that. That's perfect, isn't it? And yet it's that line sloping down a bit. You've got a bit more of that table than this one, which is much lower, and yet those are on the same level. This is character, and the colours are very nice. They're subdued colours, but it was a subdued day. I think I already said it was freezing for the month, and it doesn't look like you've zapped up the colours too much, which is fair enough. You can, obviously I do quite often, because that's kind of the style I've developed, is slightly exaggerated colours. It works very well. You've always got that option to brighten up those colours, but it's very easy to brighten them up too much, and people just say, oh, look what you've done to the colour. as opposed to appreciating the composition, which I think begs to be appreciated here. You know, I really love it. Even the fact that this little sign here is just off to the right, it's not dead centre, whereas all these other things are trying so desperately to be. It's the fact that it's not dead centre that makes it charming. Look, that line is slightly higher than this one. This one, the point of it touches the pink there it goes behind it. The end of this Z thing doesn't quite make it there, and that gets closer. It's all those little charming differences. Is that someone eating in there? Okay, anyway, so let's move on. I'm well over 10 minutes already, so thanks YouTube. I hope you honestly can have videos which are longer than 10 minutes. Anyone still awake out there? Right, here's another black and white one. No dashes of colour. This is a purely what? Well, it's purely black and white, but I was trying to decide purely what the subject is. Is it these things receding? You've got a nice shallow depth of field, so maybe these two are sharp, and this is nice and fuzzy, and the end ones are fuzzy. If you'd moved out slightly from the fence, and possibly tilted the camera if you'd wanted to go for that, you could have exaggerated this effect. These two sharp ones tend to get a little lost in the row of them, whereas when you are doing a very specific depth of field exercise, almost as though it were, you've got to really choose your position so that you play on that. It's got to be really clear. If you had moved off to the left slightly, you could almost have got space in between these, which would have made the sharp one all that more stunning in this row of fuzzier and fuzzier ones on either side. Nice diagonal coming down here into the middle. I mean, I get obsessed with angles. You've got the angle here. I would have probably tilted my camera, but then all of these things start going skew-whiff, and you didn't want to do that there, obviously. This is nice and fuzzy, which gives a feeling, a sense of where it is. I think this is an old abbey this time. I think there's monks that live in here, just across the road from the nuns. We won't say any more about that. And the whole thing is delightfully grey, isn't it? Perhaps you could maybe have lightened it up a little bit, zapped up the whites just a touch to give it a bit more punch, which I would be tempted to do. But keeping your eye open for this repetition of forms. Look, they're repeated down the bottom here as well, which and then you pick out one. I'll tell you, there's another thing you can do here. This one, look, it's actually bent. I think there's one of them that is at a real angle to the rest. Somehow it's been really bent. You can't see it quite so much here, but one of them's been really bent. And if that could have been the one that you'd also thrown into focus, that the one that stands out from the crowd, it's like a famous shot of a whole flock of sheep with one black one. Look for everything you can do to make the one that stands out a little stand out even more. Great stuff. And then there's one more we're going to look at, and here it is. Now, if I remember correctly, it's the side door to Sacré-Cœur, and it's a beautiful door. It looks slightly Arabesque, doesn't it? Were there still Arab influences in architecture around when this was built, which was around the turn of the century, around 1900, thereabouts? Believe it or not a lot of people realise this Sacré-Cœur is actually very modern. It's only a little over 100 years old, the beginning of its construction anyway. So there it is. It's a very nice door, definitely something hinting Arabesque here, which is funny to see on the side of a, I don't know, resoundingly, is it Christian, Roman Catholic basilica. I'm not an expert on religion, so forgive me for any gross nonsense I'm spouting here. And she's again gone for some lovely symmetry there. Am I sensing an architectural proclivity here? Absolutely symmetrical. I mean, can you fault it? I don't know if you can. I mean, and if you do want to take a symmetrical shot, for a start, make sure that you're slap bang in the middle of whatever it is you want to be symmetrical, otherwise you'll get some strange angles going on. And then do your best as you snap to look at all the corners, look at everything, and try and make sure it is, and then you can finally correct it afterwards. It's almost black and white again, as though she's highlighted this in colour, isn't it? Do you remember, like the the Abbess Metro shot, and yet it's not. I'm sure that's the original colour. It really is a grey building, and if you go around the side, it gets even greyer, which is one of the things I like about Sacré-Cœur. Actually, I must admit, my favourite side of Sacré-Cœur is the back side. Okay, well that's enough for this time. That's 15 minutes instead of 10. I'll see if anybody actually bothers watching it. Thanks very much. Thanks to Shelley, and see you next time at Paris Set Me Free. Bye bye now.
Depuis que je suis à Paris, le jour et la nuit, je suis gris. J'ai compris la douceur de vivre. Je suis fou de joie, je suis ivre. Depuis que je suis à Paris.